Mexico is the fourth most biodiverse country in the world. So expanding out this project is really important. So what are some of the steps that we need to consider when we're doing this? Well, one of the first things we did, because when we first came to the property, the ground was completely denuded by the cows, and you can see it's already started that process of recovery, but the grass has started to grow again. A few shrubs and trees that were constantly being eaten by the cows are starting to shoot up again. But fencing out the cows from other properties that wander around is a really important step in terms of recovery. So protecting the site and protecting the trees that are starting to develop, so that if a cow wanders into this area, that the area is protected and the trees are allowed to reestablish themselves. Because we've had different times where we've had cows come into the property, and you have a nice tree like this, the next day it'll be down to the ground because they've broken it off and they've chomped off all the leaves. And then you have to think about your initial monitoring. So you want to have some sort of a baseline monitoring, and so you're going in and you're inventorying all these different species and trying to understand what's actually here at the very beginning, so that when you start doing your restoration project, these shrubby, thorny species, maybe they start disappearing at some point, and you want to be able to say, this is a change that I've caused in the habitat. And as the trees start to grow up, then it'll start shading out, and then it'll start changing the ecosystem. So you want to be able to monitor these different points. You don't have to do it every year, but something like every few years, every 5 years, you can come back, and then you'll see some significant changes usually in the landscape. So it's really important, especially if you're working with funders or if you're working with the community. You need to be able to have this benchmark initially so that you can tell them, these are the changes I've made. There's been a shift in the community. There's been an increase in the amount of wildlife that's showing up on the property. Suddenly you're getting forest falcons and different things like that are more associated with the forest interior. So you're showing that you're increasing the health of the forest, you're increasing the diversity and the species that are using it.